What's going on, people? Welcome back to Going Rounds podcast. I'm back after a pretty long week. Hopefully you guys caught that. Yeah, hopefully you guys caught that show we had on Saturday. I'm like I'm like losing my words here. Um, the show on Saturday was pretty fun. So hopefully you guys got to see that. It was it was a little bit chaotic, but at the same time, just a lot of fun. We got a little drunk, couple of us, and we had a good time. Mike D decided to put some money on the fights. He put me on the spot, had me picking fights, which I'm not usually good at. Not for any other reason than I overthink it. That's my problem. I was betting on fights for a little bit, and I just realized that I overthink it, and I just wind up making bad decisions. I've done picks for people before. They've asked me what my suggestions were, and you know what I thought would be a good bet, or maybe even asking me if like it's a decent bet, and they would give me who they would bet on. I've had some success, and then not so much at other times, unfortunately. So I just decided that it just wasn't really for me. So I haven't really been betting. But like I said, Mike D put me on the spot, which is okay because it made it fun, and it put something on the line. So I actually wound up going, I mean, 3 for 4 kinda, because the main event wound up being a tie. So I think that kind of nullifies that bet, really. Just kind of a push or whatever. So 3-0 out of 4 fights, that's not bad. I mean, he did make the smart decision and cash out before the main event, because I really was back and forth on the main event. So, shout out to Mike D for making that quick half drunk decision and deciding to cash out. I was screaming let it ride, and he chose to cash it out, and it proved to be a good decision. So, yeah, good on that. I think he won like 144 bucks or something like that. It's not too bad. Um, I wouldn't push my luck with trying to take advantage of that. It's a one-off. I guess if it happens again, we'll give it another shot. But um, I just don't like losing people money. So I guess if you want to ask my opinion, take it for what it is. You can go with my bets or without them. I think I dropped a suggestion on a possible decent parlay for a couple fights ago, and I was all wrong, like way wrong. I think I won like one out of the 3 or 4 fights I said to parlay. So if they would have turned out right, though, you could have won some money, but that's how it goes, right? You got a 50-50 chance, especially when you throw a parlay in there. It can get busted real quick. Uh, the first fight, and it could be done, and then you're just sad. So either way, it was a good time. It was a first for me. I had a little technical difficulties at first. Go figure. It's either technical difficulties for me, or it's mind and verbal difficulties like you just saw happen at the beginning of this. I just get all stuck on my words, but you know what? I'm not a professional. I'm just doing this to have fun. I say it all the time. And I don't want to I don't want to make everybody sit here and listen to me babble on about stupid shit or stumble on my words over and over and over again. So I try my best to make sure I'm coherent and making sense, and not putting stuff out there that's completely false. So I do my research, and depending on the day I'm having and how I'm feeling, my mouth and brain might work, but I never promise anything. So welcome back anyway, and hopefully you're here hanging out. I got the chat up. It worked last time. It worked during the fights on Saturday as well. So, if you got something to say, hopefully nothing shitty, because I'm not trying to deal with that. But if you got something to say, throw it in the chat. And say what's up, or ask a question or anything like that. And I can't promise 100% get to it, but I'll do my best. I'm gonna see it, and if I can stop what I'm doing in the moment, I will. You know, like I said, it's not professional here. I'll do whatever I got to do. So if you throw some in the chat, I'll try my best to answer it or talk. Respond to it, or at least say what's up to you and tell you I appreciate you for being in there and supporting and watching. So yeah. Other than that, we hit. That was Saturday was a kind of an intro for everyone to one of my other podcasts that I do with the guys from the Rumble podcast. I talk about it every week. I show the logos on the screen and I tell you where to watch it or cuz I'm a part of all of them. And I like I've said it we're just trying to maybe integrate everything and streamline it a bit and maybe push one more than the others because it's all of us now. I mean, Christo joins in sometimes on Wednesdays, but for the most part, it's me and Magix and Tommy and Mike D. So you know, we're just trying to keep it going, like I'm doing with this, and get it out there, push it further. We've been getting some decent views on things, Well, for whatever reason, we're getting some decent views on our most recent videos or podcasts that we put out. So yeah, check it out if you got a chance. And don't forget, always to like and share and comment and subscribe and hit the notification bell and do all that other stuff for this podcast. If you're here right now, or if you're listening to this later, try to remember to go back and give it a like and do all the good stuff that YouTube always asks you to do, everybody on YouTube. And do it for the Rumble podcast as well. I mean, if you enjoyed listening to us bullshit and laugh and be a bunch of fools, that's a lot of what happens in the rest of the podcast. But recently, we've been getting into, and every now and again, we will get into more, I guess, serious conversations because it's fun joking around and having fun, and that's what it's all about for us. But sometimes you got to talk about the hard topics and you got to get into reality. Not everything's a joke and not everything's funny. And with that said, we got into a pretty deep discussion yesterday about kind of something that's in was in the news yesterday, which is, if you don't know, uh Steven Twitch boss passed away. Unfortunately, he took his own life, and that's a hard subject. So we got into a big discussion about that. If you want to listen to it in depth, go back to the Rumble podcast YouTube channel and check out our latest video from last night. We got into a pretty deep discussion. It got emotional. And I do have a lot to say about it because, as I explained in that video, I'm not going to get into it too deeply here. I think everybody knows that followed him or knew who he was knows by now what happened. And you know there is answers, still questions to be answered still, as to what caused him to do it. And some people are interested in finding out, some people aren't. But I'm sure we'll hear something down the road. Either way, condolences to his family. He had a wife and some kids, and yeah, it just sucks to hear, and it's sad. And I just wanted to bring it up again here because it worked with what I was talking about. Us getting into serious conversations sometimes on the Rumble podcast. And sometimes I get into it here. I talked about Kane and his situation. I've talked about uh fighters passing away. And I do feel a certain way about it, and I have to acknowledge it. I'm never gonna just sweep it under the rug. It's something that affects me because it just sucks. I think about their family and I think about their friends and all the people. You see all the posts on social media about them and how great of a person they were. And people don't just say that. It's the truth, and these things happen and it sucks. So I'll reiterate what I said last night on our podcast. Again, go to the Rumble Podcast YouTube channel if you want to check out that video and hear what we had to say. I think the first hour of that podcast, we talked about it in depth and got into personal anecdotes and stuff like that. So uh at the same time, we ended it with a draft of our five biggest artists that we'd put together for a music festival. And that was pretty funny and interesting. So, there's a lot of good content in that episode. So go check it out. But I'll reiterate, like I said, what I said last night, which is anybody listening to this, anybody watching this, anybody that knows me or doesn't know me, if you're having a hard time and you're having bad thoughts, or you just need someone to talk to, I'm always here. I don't take advantage of things like that myself because I feel like a burden to people sometimes. And that's not right. And that's not fair to myself to not talk about the things I'm having issues with. But, I do a lot of talking. I'm on podcasts like 4 times a week, I think. One, two, three. Yeah, pretty much like 4 times a week. And I do a lot of talking, but that doesn't always involve talking about the things, I don't put all of my personal information out there, personal struggles out there, but I do need to remember and understand that sometimes if I need to talk, then I need to talk. And same thing goes for everyone else out there. So, it sounds a bit hypocritical, but at the same time, I acknowledge it and I realize it. And I have to remind myself in those times that if I have something going on, then I need to find someone to talk to, whether it's a stranger, a therapist, a friend, a family member, or whatever. Um, and it's important. So everyone just remember that taking your own life is super tragic and it sucks enough when someone passes away suddenly because of an accident or a health condition that was they were unaware of, or a health condition that turns bad quickly all of a sudden, and it just sucks losing somebody you love in general. So just take a second and remember there's always hope and someone will help you at some point. And if you can't get that help, then I'm sorry, and I hope that it doesn't ever lead to that. Um, but yeah, that's it for that. Because yeah, we don't need to get into all that here. It's not that I have an issue with it. It just I spent a lot of time on that topic last night, and I do feel strongly about it. But I don't want to keep repeating myself for the sake of keeping the show moving. Um, yeah. Besides that, not a lot of action this week. We have one UFC card. It's the last UFC card for the year, and then they'll have a month off, uh, give or take a few days, I think. But it is UFC Vegas 66. The number schemes are weird and different. They call it USC on ESPN 220. I don't even know. There's like multiple different things. The thing I see the title I see the most is what I follow, and what I'll put up on my descriptions and hashtags and everything like that. And on my thumbnail and everything because I'm just gonna follow. Like if you Google it, you're gonna get the card. So if you that's the easiest way. So that's usually what I put out there. So anyway, it's the last card of the year in Vegas. It's a fight night. That's what it is. They number the fight nights, but they also number the Apex cards. So that's what makes it confusing. And then you got your pay-per-view numbers. So the last one of the year. Not a bad card. There's some good fights on the card, and of course I'll go over those. Uh, I think at the end I have it set up for the end. I'm gonna do something a little bit different because to start off with, I'm gonna recap UFC 282 because it was highly controversial as far as a couple of the fights went. There was a lot of finishes, which made it a very interesting and fun card to watch. And it was a pretty big pay per view, a lot of good fights, and people are will not stop talking about it from Sunday to Wednesday to today. I mean, every podcast I've listened to has talked about these controversial decisions. There's only two fights on the main card that went to decision, which was Patty Pimblett versus Jared Gordon, which seems to be the most controversial of them all. But the title fight, which is kind of rare, went to a split draw, which basically a tie. I mean, nobody won the vacant belt. It's still the vacant UFC light heavyweight belt. So it's kind of odd because especially in instances like that where there's a vacant belt, they definitely want a winner and someone to come away as a new champion, and it didn't happen. So those two fights have just discussed at nauseum basically throughout the week on every podcast I listen to. But everybody has a different take. Everyone has everyone has the same idea about everything when it comes to those two fights, but everyone has a different kind of take on it, if that makes sense. I think I know what I'm trying to say, and I hope that comes across okay. But here's the thing: nobody, all of these shows that I listen to are well structured for the most part, and they're only so long. Uh, the MMA hour tends to be quite lengthy, but he also has guests because he brings on fighters. Ariel Hawani has fighters as guests or other people in the industry. So they don't have time to and they don't just do stuff like what I'm gonna do today, which is I am gonna watch the Patty Pimblett and Jared Gordon fight again because to be honest, I was pretty I was pretty drunk when those fights finally came on, and I just continued to get more intoxicated as they went on. I'm not ashamed to say it. I had a good time. So, uh, and I always have a drink here just because when I'm doing every other show, I just have one drink. I drink the most during the weekend, and it was the weekend, and I'm watching the fights, and that's what I usually do. So we were having a good time. I had to keep the good time going. So, with more of a clear mind and without the distractions of the money for the bets and everything else going on, um, I'm gonna rewatch those fights, and I kind of want to break it down as we go because I want to see in real time how this fight played out with every little instance that I might have missed. So, because that's a lot of the problem is a lot of people miss things and then they go off of what they think they saw. But if you don't go back, I usually go back and rewatch the fights the day after or somewhere down the line, a couple days later. I haven't gotten through all these fights again. And I usually watch from the beginning of the main card unless there was really, really significant fights in the prelims. I usually go from the top of the main card and all the way through to the main event. So I just haven't gotten all the way to these two fights. So I'm gonna do it here. It's a little bit different. And it's not something that most shows will do or most podcasts will do. And I'm hoping that it comes across well. And if you didn't watch the fights, or if you did, maybe it's something that'll help you understand more of what happened, more of what all the controversies about, and more of just what happened with the fights in general. So first things first, we'll kick it off with just a quick little recap of what happened with all of the other fights. So we got UFC 282, which was Saturday night. Just going from the bottom, I'll give you real quick a little recap of what happened. We got Cameron Simon versus Steven Kozlow. Simon came away with that PKO win in round 3. Um, TJ Brown versus Eric Silva. TJ Brown, once again, round 3. Submission, though. So he got that win over Eric Silva. Billy Quarantillo versus Alexander Hernandez. That was actually a really good fight. Billy Q was kind of getting worked and kind of getting his ass kicked for a little bit, but he turned it around and he came back. And while being bloodied up, he wound up with that TKO win in round 2. So, good for Billy Q. I was kind of rooting for him. I like Alex Hernandez too, but Billy Q just is one of those guys that, has a name that is pretty catchy to say the least, and he fights well. I think if he puts a few more things together, he might be one of those guys that can rise up and become a pretty notable star. So be on the lookout for Billy Q. Next up, we had Edmund Shabazian versus Dolce Lungiambula. I'm horrible at saying that name. Either way, Shabazian got the TKO win in round 2. Then we get to the fights a couple of the fights that I actually, hold on. What's going on here? Oh, I see. I passed up. So I did kind of skip over, but the three other fights that I will show you a bit more in depth. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this. Those are the only fights those are the other fights that I'm not really going to cover a whole lot of or recap. So that's why I wanted to go through and kind of give you the results of those. But here we go. We'll start with Chris Curtis versus Joaquin Buckley. So as you can see, Chris Curtis, round 2, got the best of Joaquin Buckley. Threw him down, jumped on him, got some ground and pound in. A couple good shots came through. And yeah, he got that TKO win. Pretty nasty strikes on the ground. And to be honest, I thought Joaquin Buckley was going to get that win. But there was nothing significant happening in the fight until this. And yeah, Curtis just got the best of him. So there's that. And move on to Jairzinho Rosenstruck versus Christakis. As you can see, Rosenstruck did what he does. That boy can hit hard. Look, I mean, he's not even planted. He's rushing forward and hitting mid-strike. Like mid-stride, I mean, with that left hook, but right on the button in the chin. Follows up with a little, hit to the temple there with the right. Rosenstruck is a nasty dude. Like I said when I was previewing this fight, he caught Elliser, he beat Elliser over him, busted his lip wide open. You could see that meat inside his lip. That's how busted open Elliser's lip was. Rosenstruck is a beast, man. He's got losses and stuff, and he's yet to get to that top level, but he's definitely got what it takes with the power and the pressure. So TKO round 1, 23 seconds, man. That's a quick fight. So, and Christakis, the poor dude, his brother just lost the weekend before, and here he comes in thinking he might get a win for the fam, I guess, and instead gets finished in 23 seconds. So it's a damn shame. Then we get to the youngest UFC fighter to get a win in the UFC as well. 18 years old. He got signed to the UFC as a 17-year-old, coming off the Dana White Contender Series. He looked like he had some work to do, but he definitely has what it takes to be, a great up-and-coming fighter, and that's what everyone saw in the Contender Series. So he got the contract, he got signed, and he just turned 18, still a senior in high school, and he comes out in round 1, 2 minutes and 44 seconds in, and gets this submission here. I mean, it's pretty damn impressive if you ask me. A lot of people doubted him. Perrin was calling. Oh, by the way, Raul Rosas Jr. But Jay Perrin was calling him a pussy, trying to get in his head, saying that he's overhyped. But Perrin, yeah, he got proven wrong real quick. Like, just over 2 minutes, or just under 3 minutes in the first round, got finished even. So that's a hell of a UFC debut for an 18-year-old that's still a senior in high school. So congrats to Raul Rosas Jr. I like this kid. I think he's talking a little big, thinking that he can beat Aljamain Sterling right now for the belt. But I like the confidence, and you kind of got to have that bravado coming into a sport like this, and he's definitely doing the most. So he handled everything well. The bright lights didn't affect him, and he came in and did this. So congrats to the kid, and I'll be watching, man, hoping for good things for him. So then we head to the main card. Got Bryce Mitchell versus Ilya Topuria. So I was thinking Bryce Mitchell had this in the bag. Topuria is a great striker, and he's great all around, actually. But I kind of thought that Bryce Mitchell would get him down and work his jiu-jitsu on him, and because Mitchell's a badass on the ground. But apparently, from what I heard afterwards, is that Bryce Mitchell had the flu, and he was pretty damn sick. So he kind of wasn't himself all week, according to Sean Anik and everyone else that does the fighter interviews beforehand. Um, so yeah, he was real sick. I'm surprised he fought, and he just wasn't himself, according to what everybody said, as well as Bryce himself. So Taporia took advantage and did his thing. I'm sure he didn't know that he was sick. He just was going out there to beat him. And as you could see from Mitchell's face, he got beat up and he just wasn't himself and got taken down, put to the canvas and got choked out. So uh yeah, I mean, sucks for Bryce. I hope that he comes back and does his thing. It's only his second loss in the UFC. Uh Second loss overall. I forget the UFC doesn't put down just the UFC record. They put down their pro MMA record. Anyway, that went down in round two, just past 3 minutes in round two. Moving on to Darren Till versus Dricus Du Plessis. Yeah, that was a crazy fight. Um, we'll call him DDP because Duplessis, that's a damn name. Everyone's calling him DDP. If you know wrestling, Diamond Dallas Page, it's kind of funny and ironic. Totally different kind of dude here. But anyway, Duplessis got he looked great in round one, but it's almost like he gassed himself out. And in round he went to the stool just gasping for air, and he looked shocked that he didn't finish Till in the first round, as he came out like a fucking banshee and put it on Till, and Till survived. But the second round, um Duplessis was just gassed and he did not look good. I guarantee they gave the second round to Till. But then the third round came out and Till couldn't put it together. He was in bad positions a few times, and I think maybe even a minute before this finish here, he was in a rear naked choke and he got out. They got up, were on their feet for a few, and then here he is. He got, as you can see, got taken down, got mounted right away. Um, Till scrambled and tried to turn out of it, get away from that ground and pound, but Duplessis right away grabbed his neck, put him in kind of a neck crank. He had the arm across the chin, and Till tapped quickly. From what I heard, I think I heard them say that Till actually hurt his knee or something, like ACL or something like that. But something was up with Till as well, and I think it was right away in the first round. So unfortunately for Till, he says he's going to take some time away. He's not retiring, but he's going to take some time away from the sport and um yeah, I guess kind of try to get his shit together. He needs to, because I think this is his third loss in a row. That's not good. Uh Next fight was Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Alex Morono. As you can see, Ponzinibbio got the best of him. Morono was looking good for a few. Ponzinibbio looked like he was just didn't know what to do for a few minutes. I think the first round was kind of. I think the first round went to Ponzinibbio, but the second round, Morono came back and Santiago didn't know it. I don't know. He just looked like he didn't know what he was gonna do or what he wanted to do. He just looked kind of confused. I think maybe he thought he was gonna finish him in the second, and when he didn't, he came out pretty quickly in the third and put it on Morono. And yeah, that punch was nasty. That initial punch right there, Morono came out of there with his looked like his jaw was broken. I don't think it was, but almost like he had Bell's palsy for a minute or something. Like his face, or he had a stroke and his face just, it was really weird. I'd never really seen something like that. Not without it being a still frame, picture. So anyway, Ponzinibbio got the win. Round 3. So yeah, that's it for that. And then we got the Paddy Pimblett Jared Gordon fight. Pimblett came out with the win, but it was controversial, and we're gonna go over that here in a minute. I'm just gonna set up my stuff going back to so I can play this fight. But in the meantime, I can't show the actual fight, but I am gonna talk you through it. It's beginning right now, 5 seconds in. I got some still frames up right there of a lot of what was going on, you know. Patty came out pretty quick. He's throwing hands and throwing kicks right off the bat. I think Jordan threw one punch right away, and then Pimlet came back with a barrage and good combinations, looking like they're kind of filling each other out. And Pimlet likes to throw those kicks, as you can see in that first picture. Um, he likes to throw the kicks a lot. So, and he's always, I mean, he'll throw anywhere in the body, the head. Jordan actually got a really good left hook in on him right now. And it always looks bad for Pimlet because he's got that hair and that hair makes it look like he's getting rocked, but it's not really that. It's just his hair flies. It just looks bad. But that left hook landed again for Gordon right now and again, and he's landing them flush and on the chin. So that's one of the things that I think got Pimlet for sure. Um right now, as far as significant strikes go, I'm thinking we're like 3.5 minute or I'm sorry, we're a minute and a half in. They're trading quite a bit, but Gordon has gotten like 4 or 5 of those left hooks in uh pretty flush on Pimlet. So, but Patty's gotten a few kicks in on Gordon, and you know they'd be considered significant strikes. I mean, he's landing flush, good leg kicks, a couple kicks to the body, a couple head kick attempts. Even if somebody's covering up for those leg kicks, ooh, there's that left fucking hook again on Patty. It's not affecting Patty a lot, but those things add up. Like, how many times are you gonna let that left hook land flush on your chin and it not affect you? Ooh, there's a good right from Gordon. So a lot of people were saying that the first round was Gordon's round. When I was watching it initially, I thought for sure it was Patty's round, but as I'm watching it now, there's a lot of flush punches by Gordon. Patty just put together a nice combination, about a 3 or 4 punch combination, and he did land at least 75% of those punches, so that was good. Getting the leg kicks in, but Gordon is coming back with substantial, strikes. So, and it looks like Gordon is the one putting the pressure. It's kind of back and forth. They're both doing what they need to do to keep it interesting. Like right now, it feels like it's kind of even. Eddie's trying to get more punches in on him, but he's not landing anything. And what's interesting is I did actually see a couple posts from people talking about how not very technical, like Patty Pimlet's not very technical with his strikes. There's that left hook again. It just looks that's about 8 or 9 of those left hooks that have landed flush on Patty. Um, ooh, that was a good straight by Pimlet. Anyway, what I was saying was another left hook. What I was saying was a lot of people were showing stills of Patty throwing his punches in, and it looks like a bar fight. He's throwing from way back here. It's not very technical. It's not tight punches. It looks like he's just winging them out there. Ooh, see, Patty caught Gordon there, kind of on the move. Ooh, that was a nasty exchange too. Right now, it's showing head, body, leg strikes. Pimblett 10 to the head, 2 to the body, 7 to the leg. Gordon's got 10 to the head, 10 to the body, and 8 to the leg. So just with that alone, it's looking like Gordon's got the most is leading with the strikes. Patty just took Gordon down, but Gordon winds up on top. Uh Kind of throwing punches and landing a few. So we got 18 seconds left, and it looks like Gordon's going to wind up on top at the end of this round. I don't remember specifically, but Patty is going for submission attempt, though. So he's not just laying there doing nothing. Yep, that's how it ends. Gordon on top. Ground and pound, but Patty did throw in a couple submission attempts. Gordon comes out of that with a cut on his head, so he is bleeding. Patty's face doesn't look too beat up, but the right side of his mouth and cheek are red and a little swollen, and that's from all those damn left that's from all those damn left hooks that Gordon was landing on him. So I don't know, man. I think that was a pretty even round. Like, I can't even make up my mind. They're showing the replay right now. There's a the left hook landing, body, head, Gordon. All of the replay is, oh, there's that left hook again. All of the replay is of Gordon landing these left hooks. That was a good back and forth. They both landed a couple flush punches apiece. Patty did take Gordon down, but Gordon wound up on top, and he did keep busy with the ground and pound. Even though Patty submission attempts, he did attempt submissions. So I don't know. I think Gordon might have edged him out in that round. Now that I think about it, now that I saw it again. So there's the beginning of round two. Patty comes out with a couple stiff jabs, only lands one. Jumping back to the kicks, there's a big right hand by Patty, but it's deflected. And Gordon does look like he got beat up a little bit. He's got more damage showing to his face than Patty does. Patty's just face just looks red. Gordon has a cut and what looks to be like a little swelling in his eye. He just landed a couple lefts on Patty again. And Patty's still throwing those kicks. Teep kick, trying to keep him away. Looks like Gordon is the one stalking Pimblett for sure. He's the one kind of pushing the pace. And Patty just looks like he's just in defense mode right now and counter striking. And Gordon's just kind of chasing him around at the moment. He's landing a few kicks and a few punches here and there, but nothing flush and nothing real significant. Ooh, there's a good combination. Patty came back, countered a couple. Yeah, I mean, see, this is what's tough about these fights. Patty is landing a bunch of punches and kicks, but it seems like what Gordon is landing is way more significant because he's landing flush on that chin. Now we got Gordon pressing Patty up against the cage, and now he just took him down as Patty has a hold of his neck, kind of just holding him there. But Gordon is on top. Patty's trying for that kind of head and arm choke, but it's not a great position. Gordon kind of has more of a mount position. Patty just grabbed the fence too. I don't know how nobody saw that, but he's now back up on his feet. Gordon has him pressed up against the cage though, and he's getting those knees in on the inside of his thigh. Patty's trying to hit him to the side of the head and throwing some knees. Gordon's bleeding from his head a lot, so that doesn't look good. But right now, Gordon's winning this round. We're like we got 2:15 left in the second round. He's picking up Pimblett at the moment. Tried to drop him, but he didn't. Patty defended that takedown. But yeah, Gordon's just got his head down in Patty's chest, pressing up against the cage. Patty keeps trying to. Ooh, that was a big right hand on Patty as that Patty threw a nice big right hand too and landed. They were coming off the cage and Gordon landed that big right. And there's another left hook. Kind of knocked some spit out of Patty's mouth. So that was a pretty good one. Patty keeps throwing big right hands, but Gordon is deflecting. So this is pretty much how this fight. Ooh, big right hand by Gordon again. Patty with the uppercut. And then Gordon presses him up against the fence. Patty looks like he is kind of frustrated right now that Gordon pressed him against the cage again. Like, I don't know that he knows. He's just frustrated that he can't get out of that, I think. Gordon has that good pressure and strength to keep him up against the cage. They're staying busy though, so you can't really blame them for, not breaking that up. Right now, significant strikes. Pimblett 22 in round one, 17 in round two. Gordon 34 in round one, 22 in round two. So right now, Gordon has the lead in significant strikes. And that is some of the criteria with the judging. Pimblett got out of the fence, came up with a few really good punches, a big right hand. Gordon is landing that left again. Still, every time Petty leaves that right hand down by his waist and Gordon gets that left hook in there. Ooh, that was a straight left, landed on Patty, but Patty poked him in the eye with 14 seconds left in round two. He's saying he's good, so it's looking like he's gonna start back up fairly quickly. Yeah, so they're showing the replay. Gordon threw a stiff left jab, but as Patty put his hand out to try to catch it, he poked Gordon in the eye. So that's not good. And this is what's funny is I don't even remember the eye poke. Gordon's nose has a cut on the bridge and is bleeding. He's got a cut on his forehead and is bleeding. His face is all nicked up and swollen. So according to visual damage, Gordon looks like he's got the most damage on him right now, but the significant strikes goes to Gordon for sure. Pimblett doesn't have a lot of visible damage to his face, even though he's very pale. So, I mean, he looks red, and the side of his mouth is a little swollen, and it looks a little bruised, and that's from taking all those. That's from taking all those left hooks from Gordon. Um, they're working on his face right now, so he's got some swelling under his eyes, but nothing massive. Gordon's got all of the obvious damage to his face. His nose is swollen. He's got a cut. His forehead and his eyes are swollen. I think that's kind of part of why Gordon lost his fight because I think the visual damage, Patty looks like he maybe got punched in the mouth once. Gordon looks like he's been in a fight. So that might be part of why he lost this fight. So we're getting ready to start the third round. See, and I mean, for me, I thought this might take way too long. I don't know if you're just listening, it might feel like it took a while, but this went by fairly quick for me. And it's probably because I'm talking the whole time, which if I wasn't talking, I mean, come on, that'd be real boring, right? I'm just trying to walk you through what's happening. And at the same time, it's helping me make sense. We got the tweets up. It's saying Pimlet takes round two, but they're calling it a tie at the moment. 2018 Gordon, close round, 2018 Gordon. So a couple people are calling it for Gordon. And he just took him down, dropped him on his head. Ooh, that was nasty. He kind of slid his face on the canvas too. But Pimlet just jumps right back up. He's got his hands on the ground, his feet on the ground, and he's kind of bent over. Gordon's trying his best to take him down again. This is from what I remember, this is the boring round. But Gordon right away takes a dominant position, took Patty down, has a hold of him and is holding on to him. But here's the thing. He's not doing anything with it. He's got his arms around Patty's upper body. Patty has his hands on the mat and his feet on the mat, and he's kind of bent over. Gordon's trying his best to kick his legs out from under him and soften him up, but Patty's not moving. And yeah, that's the thing. Gordon's not doing a lot with it. That takedown was nice because he kind of took him down and dropped him on his head, but he hasn't done much with it. Now he's bent over trying to get the double leg on Patty, but Patty's got his arms. He's got him in a head and arm choke. So he's just nullifying that takedown attempt. I mean, Gordon's trying everything. He went from a double to a high crotch to a single, and then just back up to the upper body and pressing him against the cage. Patty's trying to land some punches, but he looked super frustrated and kind of tired, actually. And Gordon just keeps bending down, trying to get that double leg, trying to get the high crotch. He's trying to chain wrestle a bit and switch positions and try to find one that's going to work. We're about We got 240 left, so we're about halfway through the last round. Patty's trying to drop some elbows, but he can't seem to get in there. Throwing some knees. Gordon is just pressing him against the cage. So right now, pretty much it looks like that lower right hand picture is about how it looks. Patty looks frustrated and tired. Gordon has his head in Patty's chest. I mean, that's kind of what's happening right now. He keeps bending down, dropping down, trying to, change levels and get Patty's legs and get him to the ground, but it's not working. Patty keeps lifting him up, getting in the underhooks or the overhooks and lifting him and then trying to throw knees in there. Gordon's got his head just in his chest. Oh, now they finally separated. But Gordon landed that fucking left hook again on Patty as they separated. And there's that left hook again. Good God. I did not realize how many times he landed that. And then there's a short, quick left hook while they're in the clinch. Gordon's got him up against the cage again. Patty just, I think Gordon's too strong for Patty in this position. He's got the lower center of gravity too, so like he's kind of able to manipulate him a bit. And he just keeps trying for that takedown. Patty just puts his hands down though. He's got those long limbs, so he puts his hands down and he's just trying to keep Gordon from taking him down. Got a minute 5 left in the last round, and it's a lot of the same. Patty's just defending and trying everything to get out of this position. Gordon just keeps his head in his chest. Oh, now he just took him down. Finally got him down, and he took his back quickly. Now he's trying to get the hooks in, but he's too high. Patty's coming out of the back door, got out, scrambles. Patty's got his back on their feet now. So that was a good little scramble for Patty. At least he got in a better position. And now he's got him pressed up, trying to jump on his back and get the hooks in. But Gordon's not letting him. He's got wrist control. Patty's trying to land some punches and knees. Gordon just caught his leg and is trying to turn around on him. 10 seconds left. Still in the. Oh, Patty takes him down. Barely. Gordon put his knee down. Now Patty jumped on his back. 2-1. Patty's looking like, hey, this was my fight. I mean, he just stuck his tongue out, threw his hands up. But dude, that was not. Yeah, that was not as he came out in the when Rogan came to interview him after they announced him being the winner. He came out and said, you know, Joe said that was a close one, and Patty goes, "No, it wasn't. That wasn't close at all. That was all me." I don't know, man. I don't see that. Gordon, he didn't do a lot with that third round, and that's something that Dana White mentioned and criticized him for, saying that he had a bad plan for the third round. That was a bad game plan, and that's what cost him the fight. But I think from what I saw, I mean, Gordon won those first 2 rounds. And that's everybody's complaint right now, is that that should have been 30-27 for Gordon. And I can't say that I disagree now. If nothing else, it was 29-28 Gordon. But I feel like, unfortunately, Petty might not have got that win. Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert. I know a lot because I watch a lot and I pay attention and I actually study this a lot. But, from that fight, man, I just don't see that being Patty's fight. I really don't. And I hate to go with the crowd because usually I'm just like, I'm gonna form my own opinion here. But that's kind of what I just did. We were watching it on Saturday and I wasn't watching every single second of the fight and everything that happened. But I was calling it at the end of the rounds, and I think I called the first round for Patty, the second round for Gordon, and then I said no. I called the first round being kind of a toss up because that's kind of what I saw here too. Was that there was a lot of back and forth, and there was a lot of kind of up in the air. Like they were pretty even in the first. So I felt like the first was a toss up. The second was Patty's uh round for sure. And I called the third for Gordon. So I figured, my initial reaction was we'll see what the judges thought of the first round. Yeah, that one's kind of crazy, man. I see what everybody was saying now. I didn't see it at first just because, like I said, I hadn't gone back and watched it again. So now that I went through it and watched it a lot closer, which is what I normally do too. Normally, like I'll put my phone down and I'll watch the fight from beginning to end when I rewatch them. Or I'm watching on my phone so I can't even do anything else. That's kind of what I do sometimes on purpose so that I make sure I pay attention. Um so yeah, that was I see what the controversy was about now. So a lot of the problem is there's a judge that was judging that fight. Right now, I'm just fast forwarding, trying to get to the beginning of the next fight. Uh, but there's a judge. His name's Douglas Crosby. There's been issues with him in the past. A lot of people say that he just goes with what he thinks the organization wants for a win. So, and here's the thing, also one of the other judges. I don't know if you know Big John McCarthy, but here we go. Jan and Goliath about to start. Now, this is a 5 round fight, so it's going to be a little longer, but I'm going to finish my thought here because the beginning of this fight, I don't believe it was kind of a feeling out process. But Douglas Crosby is one of the judges. There's a lot of controversy surrounding him because he involves himself way too much with the fighters and he tries to befriend a lot of them. And so it's kind of a conflict of interest type thing. And it's been proven. So he is some kind of I think he's like a stuntman or a stuntman coordinator or something like that. So he like promises people roles in movies and shit. And that's just a complete conflict of interest with, because it's the fighters that he's talking to, saying that I'll put in a good word for you, stuff like that. Uh Ray Longo and Matt Serra's team, they've asked the commission and the UFC to not allow him to judge any of their fighters' fights because of a specific conflict of interest like that with one of their fighters from back in the day. So, and then another one of the judges, I started saying, I'm all over the place here. Another one of the judges is actually, if you remember, Big John McCarthy was a referee for a long time in the UFC and in other organizations, but uh yeah, his son is actually one of the judges that was on the panel for this fight and or for these fights and Big John actually said, as far as the Patty Pimblett fight goes, I think they got it wrong. My son was on that panel, was one of the judges, and I told him straight up that he got it wrong. So, and and McCarthy's son just said, "Hey, listen, the crowd was loud. It was crazy. There's a lot of distractions." But I don't think that's a good excuse. You're a judge. Your sole and main focus should be on the goddamn fight. There should not be anything distracting you from that. You shouldn't be on your phone. You shouldn't be watching something else. You shouldn't be interacting with the crowd. You shouldn't be talking to other people. You should be fucking watching that fight second for second, blow for blow, kick for kick, everything. Everything that happens in that fight, your fucking eyes should be peeled and glued to the fucking fight. Plain and simple. And a lot of the problems with these judges is that, they're heavily influenced by the crowd. And then some of them have no experience whatsoever with combat sports, or they're just boxing judges. And this is boxing, like this is the 10-point must system is a boxing thing. Like they carried it over to MMA because MMA was a new sport. So as of right now, the block away tackle live fight is starting. Give me 1 second. Ooh, I still got a little bit of that cough lingering. Like I said, the first round of this fight, a lot of feeling out, which is normal. It's a main event fight, which is always a 5 round fight. 5 round fights means the first round, unless you're really coming out and coming after it, it's going to be a bit of a feeling out process. And this is also for a vacant title, so, they're fighting for a belt. Jan's coming out with some pretty heavy leg kicks right away, so that's a big deal, and I do remember that from watching this before. Jan put a lot of leg kicks on him, which is exactly why I put those 2 pictures up on top there, because Jan he landed a lot of leg kicks, and it was pretty significant when it came to how the fight played out. But like I was saying about the judges, a lot of the controversy over that is that, you know, the judging criteria is kind of just bad. Ankalaev's landing some good punches here on Jan, but it's not really phasing him much. And Jan just keeps landing those leg kicks. But the 10-point must system, which just basically means every round, the person that wins is going to get 10 points. Okay. So the person that loses will get 9 points, unless there's significant reason to call it a 10-8 round, which means that the person was super dominant. They probably dropped somebody in that round, and there was no pushback from the other fighter. So say right now, say Blachowicz is landing all these leg kicks, kind of chopping down on Goliath's legs, and then he lands a flush punch on his chin. Ankalaev has no answer for it, doesn't land too many significant strikes, no takedowns, and doesn't defend very well. That could be a 10-8 round, especially if he gets dropped. If it's close to being ended in that round too, and there was no like teeter totter the other way, then yeah, that's a 10-8 round. And there could also be a 10-10 round, which means nobody won, it's a tie. Or a 9-9 round. Say somebody, you know, kicks say one fighter kicks someone in the like kicks him below the belt. Sorry, I was just watching for a second. That was kind of weird. They had just like a stalled out moment. They just like stood there. Uh but yeah, say you get a low blow and the ref warns him, then he comes back and kicks him again, and as a low blow, so they, take a point. But yet he was still dominant enough in that round to, it would have been a 10-9 round, but because he got that point taken, makes it a 9-9 round. But he obviously won the round. So that's how that happens. And that's how you wind up with a draw. You get something like, if it's a 3-round fight, then, one fighter wins one round, the other fighter wins the other, and then there was a tied round. Well, that's a tie. There's no way around it. So yeah, there's just a lot to it. The scoring system sucks. The judges suck. I mean, there's so many times, and what sucks even more about it, there's not a lot to break down in this first round of this fight. Like the way I'm looking at it right now, it's pretty even. So like I kind of feel like this is what I felt in the begin or when I was watching it on Saturday as well. I felt like this first round could have been called a 10-10. They don't hand them out very often, but Jan's landing those kicks, and Goliath's landing some flush punches to the head. Eh, It's just even, man. Like it's hard. I guess if you really broke it down by visual damage, Uncle Live's face is red and his legs are red. So I guess if you didn't know any better and didn't know anything else, you could go off of that. But it doesn't. There's 22 seconds left and they're still kind of filling each other out. Jan's still trying to land those leg kicks, but Ankalaev is trying to push kick him, keep the distance, and maybe trying to feel out and get the range. But he's not throwing. He just keeps kind of pushing that leg kick out there or that teep kick out there. And that's the end of the first. So, again, I feel like this was an even round. I don't know. There was nothing there that really stood out. So that's kind of the problem. And looking at their faces and looking at what the corners are working on, Ankalaev has kind of some swelling under his right eye. That's why it's red on that side of his face. So they're putting the cold press on that. Jan doesn't have anything. They already put ooh, that was a nice straight right. There's a good left hook. That's probably what swelled up Ankalaev's face. They're showing the replay right now. There's a good a straight left from Ankalaev that landed on Jan. There's a good push kick to the body. Yeah, and that was really it. So even in the replay, what they showed was even. Um, Ankalaev has some red marks on his body, his face, and his legs. So stuff is landing, unless he's just I don't know, maybe he's just sensitive to that and his skin changes color quickly, but there's Jan with those inside leg kicks right away. It's a good little flurry back and forth, but nobody landed anything. They're coming out a bit harder in this round. That's for sure. They're both throwing um punches and kicks, and they both kind of up the tempo a little bit. A lot less feeling out and a lot more pressure until now. Now all of a sudden they both look like they're feeling each other out again. Is that leg kick? Oh, there's a good left hook. So the tweets on the screen 10-9, Ankalaev. Ooh, that was a good right from Blachowicz. 10-9, Ankalaev. 10-9, Blachowicz. Ah, according to the tweets, they got Ankalaev winning that first round. There's a lot of strikes being thrown, but only one is landed out of that flurry, and that was Jan landing the left hook. Something about that left hook in these fights, man. Ankalaev landing some good body kicks at the moment. Ooh, there's a good exchange. Both landed a good heavy punch. There's not a lot to break down in this fight, man. It kind of sucks because I thought this was going to be a lot. Like Ankalaev has shown that he puts a lot of pressure on people and he goes for the kill. But up until now, something on my screen. Um, and Jan is usually, he says the famous Polish power, and I mean, he's not landing a ton. There's a lot of hesitance. Jan just landed a straight left jab. And then there's some more inside leg kicks. Ankalaev came after him, but didn't really land anything. Man, this is why I think I was worried about this fight. Ooh, Jan landed a flurry of punches right there. So we got 2.5 minutes left in the second round. And as of right now, I feel like Jan is winning this round. But Ankalaev has landed a few good punches. I just don't know that it matches up to all of the punch. Okay, so head, body, leg strikes. Blachowicz 10 head, 8 body, 11 leg. Ankalaev is leading with 10 head, 12 body, and 3 leg. Okay. And Ankalaev just landed a nice straight stiff jab on Jan's. Ooh. All right. Ooh. Okay, so that leg kick just hurt Ankalaev. And that's something that was a factor in this. I think that was the first one. Oh, but that was good teep kick to Jan and pushed him back, almost dropped him. But Jan hurt Ankalaev's leg with that inside leg kick, and it stumbled him. So that was a good exchange right there. I mean, I still think, oh, Jan, oh yeah, he kicked him in the leg again, and Ankalaev stumbled like a deer on ice. His legs went opposite directions. Now they're tying up on the cage. Ankalaev has Jan against the cage, knee in his legs at the moment. So yeah, I got Jan winning this second round right now. That first one for me was hard to call, but according to everyone else, it seemed like they had Ankalaev winning that first round. We got 59 seconds left in the second round, and I'm thinking that this is Jan's round here for sure. Now the problem is that I'm really going to pay attention to are the last two rounds, which I can't remember which round it was, but I believe it one of the last two rounds they gave Ankalaev a 10-8 round. Oh, that was a big right hand that Ankalaev missed. 30 seconds, back and forth, exchanging punches. Ankalaev's got the middle of the cage, and Jan's getting pushed back a little to the cage at the moment. They're both exchanging leg kicks right now. Ankalaev's going for a takedown. Jan defended, and now Ankalaev's got him against the cage again. Landing body shots and knees to the thighs, and that's the end of the round. I still think that was Jan's round right there. So as of right now, it seems like it's 1-1. But Jan actually got those leg kicks were something significant in this round. That was the beginning of him landing kicks that were kind of wobbling him uh and making him feel kind of tentative on those legs. And right now they're tending to a cut on Ankalaev's nose, and the replay just showed why. There's a big overhand right from Jan. Ankalaev. Oh, that was a short left jab straight to the chin of Ankalaev. They just showed the leg kick that stumbled him from Jan. It looked like he slipped a little, but it's more like he was unstable on that pivot foot. And he's walking a bit gingerly on it as he got up off the stool. Yeah, I'm calling that round for Jan for sure. So I think it's 1-1 right now. Jan looks like he's breathing hard, but doesn't look like there's much damage. Getting around three, Jan starts with a stiff left jab and then an inside leg kick that looked like it hurt Ankalaev a lot. That was, yeah, that was big. So Ankalaev changed stance, and now Jan's working on that front leg. Ankalaev looks like he's not good on that back leg. He's moving around, he's hopping around, and it just doesn't look normal. So that leg is hurt for sure. Right now, Jan's just kind of stalking him. Ankalaev looks like he's trying to just kind of shake off. Ooh, there's another nasty inside leg kick to that leg that looks like it's hurt. Ankalaev looks like he's bouncing around trying to just kind of shake it off, but every time he settles, Jan hits that leg again. Oh, there's a big overhand. Grazed him, but it landed by Ankalaev, by the way. Now Jan, a little bit of a flurry, but Ankalaev comes back with a stiff left jab that landed. There's those leg kicks again by Jan. Holy shit. This is a bit of a back and forth here. Jan looks like he's phased a little by that jab. Oh, it keeps landing. Ankalaev keeps landing that stiff left jab right on Jan's nose. So now Jan's nose is bleeding a bit. He's got a cut on the bridge. It's red. Oh, and he keeps wincing every time he gets hit there. Oh, he just landed a stiff right on Ankalaev again. But Jan's nose is feeling the pain right now from those jabs. Ankalaev landed about 4 or 5 of those stiff jabs this round. Fuck, man, this is tough because this round seems pretty even. Oh, until then, no, it's still both of their noses are fucked up, which is kind of funny because they both keep kind of just you know pawing at their nose. I'm just waiting to see. Oh, that was a quick left to ankle. Almost dropped him, but they keep keeping each other at bay with those little leg kicks, like those front kicks to the body. Oh, he just hurt Ankalaev hard with that front leg kick. So now he made Jan made Ankalaev stumble by kicking each leg. So each leg he's worked so hard that he's got him stumbling. And now Ankalaev's like just doesn't have a leg to stand on really. But he did go for the takedown. Jan defended. Now he's up against the cage and they're trading knees. Here comes just a grapple and a clinch, back and forth. on the cage. Jan's got his back to the cage at the moment, and they're trading knees and punches to the body. Looks like Jan's trying to turn him around, but he can't gain the position. Ankalaev's throwing a lot of inside leg or inside knees to the inside of Jan's legs. He almost got out of there, but Ankalaev put him back on the cage, and there he goes throwing those knees again. I mean, those will add up. A lot of knees just digging into your quad. But Jan, those leg kicks on Ankalaev are nasty. I mean, they're doing damage for sure. So we're down to the last minute of the third round. So this one does feel like it's taking quite long, but that's because I mean the action is there. Oh, Ankalaev's busted up though on his right eye, and it's bleeding down his face. Now he's going for the takedown, but Jan defended. Oh, it looks like nut shot. Ankalaev got him in the nuts with his knee. So it's a timeout. 45 seconds left in round three. He just went for one of those knees on the inside of the thigh, but he hit the cup instead. Jan kind of turned on him. That looked like it hurt. But I mean, of course, a shot in the nuts is gonna hurt regardless. Jan's taking advantage, trying to catch his breath. Here we go. They're starting it back up. Uncle Ive's bleeding a lot out of that eyebrow. Here we go. Matching kick for kick. Uncle Ive goes for the takedown. Jan defends. Uncle Ive kind of headbutted Jan on the way up from that takedown attempt. Blockowitz, 6 of 6, 100% takedown defense. So Uncle Ive is yet to take him down, which is what he's usually known for. He takes him down and grapples people and ground and pounds them. There we go. Now he just got the outside leg trip and got Jan to the ground with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that might have won the round for Uncle Ive there. So I'm thinking because it was so even, but he got that takedown, might have stole the round for him. Which I remember this. I remember saying this at the time when we watched on Saturday. Um, that I think that he might have stolen the round with that one. I wish I could listen to the commentary just so I knew at the moment, like what everyone was thinking. But I'm sure they'll throw the tweets up on the screen, and a lot of the tweets that they show are usually other fighters or other like MMA journalists. Um, but both fighters look tired at the moment. Right now, they're showing a replay of those nasty leg kicks that had Ankalaev stumbling. Uh, let's see. That was a weird replay. Nobody really landed anything. Here comes Jan again with those leg kicks. That's all they're showing at the moment, which is kind of crazy. Maybe he did take that round with those leg kicks because Ankalaev showed obvious signs of pain in that leg. He picked his leg up, he hopped on one foot, and his legs are marked up. Ankalaev's foot is swollen as hell. His left foot is crazy swollen, and his eyes both look bruised right now. Jan, his nose looks fucked up, and he's got a little bit of swelling around the eyes, but nothing crazy. And his legs don't look nearly as bad as Ankalaev. So now we're in the fourth round, about 15 seconds in. Not a whole lot going on. Ankalaev goes for that takedown again, and Jan defends again. So that's 8 attempts with only one actual takedown. And by the way, I'm not usually vaping during my podcast right now because I'm usually talking the whole time, but because I'm watching this, it's like one of those habits. So I apologize if the smoke's kind of weird. Everyone that knows me knows I vape though. It's just a thing, my thing. I don't know. We got Lynch against the cage. Jan always has his back on the cage. Uncle Ive's always the one putting the pressure. So I mean that could be considered octagon control. Um, but Uncle Ive's not doing anything with it. There's nothing significant happening. They're trading knees back and forth. Jan landed a big one right now on Uncle Ive's leg. but it's just kind of the same stuff. Oh, just grappling and clinch work on the fence right now. It kind of looks like that third round of the Pimblett and Gordon fight, except Jan doesn't look as frustrated. All right, Jan got out of it, turned it around. Ankalaev goes straight in, gets the takedown. That was a good blast double. Got the takedown. Winds up on top, but he's inside Jan's guard. And he's trying to rain some punches down right now, but it's nothing's really getting through. Jan's controlling the arms, and he just dropped an elbow in there. So that was nice from the bottom. Ankalaev's not doing much right now. So that takedown is not as significant when you don't do much with it. I mean, it's a lot of ground and pound attempts, but he's not landing anything. So, but Jan's nose is busted up. It's actually bleeding now, like quite a bit. Looks like he has some blood on his forehead too, but I don't know if that's coming from him or Ankalaev. Because Ankalaev's eyebrow is pretty jacked up right now. Over under 3.5 rounds. Right now, over is plus 100 for a prop bet. Oh shit, Ankalaev took his back. He's got his arm across Jan's face. Jan just defended. Ankalaev's still on the back though, trying to get some punches in. Jan's covering. Okay, so this is dominant position right here, and he is staying active and trying to. Oh, Jan just landed a like a back elbow on him. We got a minute 35 left in the fourth round. Goliath just turned around and is now in half guard, pressing Jan's upper body up against the cage, uh, trying to punch to the body. Not a whole lot going on at the moment. We just got Ankalaev pressuring. He's trying to pass. He got put into full guard. He's trying to pass to half, and he did. And I just spilled my drink as I'm watching this. I got a hole in my lip or something. I was too busy watching this, and I didn't realize how full my cup was. So Ankalaev's still in half guard, just trying to drop some punches in. Not a big change. Jan looks like he's just trying to cover up, really. Um, Trying to throw some elbows in between. They're in Ankalaev's corner, so his coach is pointing and screaming out instructions, but he looks frustrated, which means I don't think Ankalaev's listening. I see Brendan Moreno in the background because I think he does commentary for ESPN Deportes, which is like the Mexican like station of ESPN. So he does like the Spanish commentary, which is kind of cool. Uh okay, so Ankalaev finally got up and he's kicking Jan's legs. Jan has that like stupid position with his hands behind his back. Okay, that's the end of the fourth. Yeah, I gotta give that one to Ankalaev, honestly. Um, so now if I can even keep up here, I think it's even. But I wonder if this is a round that they call 10-8. The only reason I could see that is because I don't even think that's right though. Um, the only thing I could see is that he took him down a couple times. He stayed in the dominant position for a lot more time than he didn't. Uh, he got a couple submission attempts in there, but the defenses for Jan count for something too. So I don't know, man. This is tough. I want to know where the 10-8 came in. It might have been this last round. This is the beginning of round 5 here. So we're almost through this. I'm sorry if this is boring you, but I'm trying to break everything down as we go so that there's no dead air. Um And on top of that, trying to make it as interesting as I can. But, this is I don't get to do this a lot, so it's kinda fun for me, I guess. I don't rea Usually when I'm watching fights, I'm not talking to anybody, I'm just watching them. 10-9 Uncle Live in the 4th, 38-38 headed into the deciding 5th round, and that's from so Uncle Live got him down again, but Jan's trying to throw up a submission, trying to get him in a triangle. Okay, he just kicked him off. Uncle Live goes back in. Alright, he just fell into Jan's guard, so but he did get him down. So here we go again. 4 minutes, 20 seconds left, and Ankalaev still in the same position he left in the 4th round. Same thing, just trying to drop elbows and punches, but nothing significant. He's not landing anything flush. It's a short hammer fists. Jan's doing a good job of defending with his hands and holding a wrist here and there. But he's not doing a whole lot to try to get out of this position. I think he's tired because he keeps looking up and putting his head back and kind of taking deep breaths. This is what Ankle Live does, though. This is just he's in that realm of fighters like Dagestani type fighters that they'll take you down and they'll grind you out, and they'll suffocate you, and it's just tough to get out of. Jan just tried to get out of the bad position he's in on his back, and he turned to his side, but Uncle Live still has him, and now he's in side control. But Jan still is kind of sideways, so he's okay. There you go. Jan just got full guard back. Uncle Live is trying to pass the half guard, which seems to be his favorite place to be. Okay, Jan just tried to break out and use a Kimura to maybe get out of that position, but it didn't work. Nikolai grabbed his wrist and put his arm behind his back. Now he's raining punches down on him, but Jan's covering up, so nothing's landing. Oh, he just threw an up elbow on him. So again, for the kind of the majority of the round, Ankalaev is on top, holding that position. The ref is not breaking him up, so that means he's staying active enough to not get, put back on your feet. But that's questionable. A lot of people disagree with that. It's like if you're not doing anything significant, they feel like you should be, you know, stood up. Right now is the most I've seen Jan cover up and not do anything back. Nikolaev keeps raining down that punch. He's landed a couple of heavy ones that got through Jan's guard. Jan just grabbed his wrist and stopped him from hitting him, but Nikolaev's relentless. Got a minute 30 left in the 5th round. Uncle Ives in the same position he was since the first minute of the round. On top, Jan can't get out. Now Jan's face is busted up quite a bit more from some of those punches Uncle Ive landed. Maybe this is the 10-8 round they gave him because of the damage, because of the control, the dominant position, the fact that he stayed on top, and from the first minute of the round. Total strikes, block weight 77, Ankalaev 157. Holy shit. It does not seem that way. 77 to 157. That's insane. Those are just overall strikes, not significant. So that's something to be aware of. Oh man, 35 seconds left. Ankalaev's still on top. He's trying to drop elbows. Blachowicz looks visually frustrated now, and he's tired. He's breathing with his mouth open, but he's still defending and still trying to get out of this bad position on his back. But Ankalaev's relentless with those punches and those hammer fists. Jan just keeps trying to tie him up, but Ankalaev is nonstop with those punches. Ooh, elbow. That one got through. I would say maybe this is a 10-8 round they gave him. I don't know, man. Jan's on his back. The round's over. He turned around and sat up against the cage. Uncle Live stood up with his arms up, and he looks fine. Man, this is tough. This is why this is one of those reasons why it's hard, man. It's hard for me to make sense of it. They're showing Glover Teixeira right now. I don't know, man. But let's see what the replay shows. We got Ankalaev getting his legs kicked. Jan landing some pretty decent punches. As far as damage goes, until that last round, it looked like Jan, landed and did the most damage. But at the end of the fifth round, Blachowicz was just beat up and was just on the ground looking like he was defeated. But those leg kicks were nasty. Yeah, not a whole lot though, man. This is a tough fight to call. And to be honest, like the Patty fight, I feel a lot better saying that Gordon came away with that win. But with this fight, it's tough. It's tough. Especially because I think somebody gave him a 10-8 round. I should have probably looked up the scorecards before I did this just to be 100% about everything. But I kind of didn't want to be I didn't really want to be influenced in that way. Anyway, so we know what happened from here. And fight statistics. Significant strikes 58 to 79 Ankalaev. Total strikes 79 to 182 Ankalaev. Control time 11 minutes and 20 seconds to 0 for Ankalaev. So Ankalaev came away with winning in every significant strikes, total strikes, and control time. 11 minutes and 20 seconds to 0. I mean, if that doesn't say something, I don't know. So right now, coming to the decision, Ankalaev's Ankalaev's corner looks like they're happy. Ankalaev looks like he's happy. Jan looks defeated. He's pouring water over his head. He's breathing hard. And he keeps just looking down, shaking his head. So, and he's pointing at Ankalaev as if he's saying he got the win. And then they call it a split draw. So, a split draw means that one judge did have it for a winner, but the two other judges had it as a draw. That's and Jan's trying to lift Ankalaev's arm in the air, kind of saying that he won, but Magomed's not having it. Anyway, man, that's it's tough. I don't really know. I still came out of that one confused. So I hope that wasn't too boring for everybody. I tried to keep that going. That fight was a little tough. Maybe I should have just kept it to the Patty fight. But either way, I still was able to say that that one was a tough fight to call, and that's why it was so controversial. Especially being a title fight for a vacant title of all things. So yeah, um, you know, this podcast is a little longer than usual, but it's kind of something I wanted to do, and I appreciate everybody that has stuck around. And I got a little more for you. Um, I'll get through this one quick, but I do want to preview the last card of the year for the UFC. So let's get to that now. So here we go. UFC Vegas 66. This is taking place in Vegas. That's why it's called that. We got Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland. If you've heard me talk about Sean Strickland before, you know I don't like the dude very much. So it's a personal opinion. A lot of people like him because he's kind of a crazy fucker and doesn't give a shit. But he says a lot of dumb shit, and that's why I don't like him. He says a lot of really dumb shit. And he does a lot of really dumb shit. He's a good fighter. He's ranked number 7. Jared Cannonier is ranked number 2. But I just don't like the guy. And I do like Jared Cannonier, so I'm a little biased here. But fuck it, right? Strickland, I don't know. Whatever. But here's the card. You know, some of the guys at the bottom I don't really know very well. Sergey Morozov versus Journey Newson. I don't know those guys very well. David Doverak versus Manel Cape. Those guys are, you know, just some of the lower level guys that are on their way up. Decent names. Could be a pretty decent fight. They got a lot of fights under their belt. Brian Battle, though, is I think the last winner of the Ultimate Fighter. He's fighting Renat Baccarat. Fuck, man, I don't know how to say that guy's name. Anyway, 8-1-0 versus 19-1-0 welterweight fight. Brian Battle is a badass. I like him. He was impressive on the Ultimate Fighter, and I'm glad he came away with the win because he's a good dude as well. Then you got Rafa Garcia versus Mahesheti. Fuck, man. What am I even doing? I can't say that name. And it just gets worse. Saeed Nurmagomedov. Okay, I can say that. But this dude's name is Saeed Yokub Takaramanov. Wow. I've talked way too much to be trying to fucking pronounce those kind of names. Anyway, moving on. Jake Matthews versus Matthew Semmelsberger. I haven't heard of Semmelsberger, if that's how you say that. But Jake Matthews is a badass. He's been around impressing people in his fights as of late. So, you know, Matthews probably who I'm going for. Should be an interesting fight, though. Then you got Cheyenne. She used to be Cheyenne. I forgot her last name. Damn it. Blismus, though, I mean, she got married recently, so she changed her last name, against Corey McKenna. That should be a pretty good fight. Cheyenne comes out like crazy and is usually the aggressor. Similar, actually, they got the same record, 7-2-0. But Cheyenne's one of those girls that's kind of an up-and-comer in the strawweight division. Someone to look out for. Corey McKenna's pretty good, though, as well. And I think this is going to be a pretty decent fight. Moving on to Cody Brundage versus Michael Oleksiejczuk. That's tough too. Although I've heard that one quite a bit. Oleksiejczuk is one of those guys. Hard name, hard fighter. Should be a good fight as well. Cody Brundage always comes ready to fight. So, Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. Bobby Green's one of my favorites. I mean, 29-13-1. He's fought a lot, but he just doesn't seem to put it together. Like, he just doesn't. He's always dropping fights that he shouldn't. He's always losing fights he shouldn't lose. And Drew Dober's a badass. He's got a lot of fights under his belt as well. 25-11. Excuse me, I had the hiccups or something. Too much talking. But yeah, I'm excited for that fight. Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. In the lightweight division. Then we got Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy is what they call him. It's pretty funny if you watch him fight back in the day. He wore that Bruce Leroy, or like the Bruce Lee jumpsuit, kind of yellow and black. He's got the crazy. He always has a crazy hairdo. He's fighting Julian Erosa. So Caceres is one of those guys, just always inconsistent. He wins a bunch and then he loses a bunch and then he wins a few and then loses a few. That's just how he fights. I don't get it. But he's a good fighter and he's fun to watch. Julian Erosa is one of those good up-and-comers. Tough guy, good all around. So that should be an interesting fight. And then we got Amir Albazi versus Alessandro Costa. I've been hearing a lot about this fight, but I don't know either of these guys very well. So, I mean, it doesn't mean shit that I don't know him. It just means it's not somebody that's on my radar. So, and then Arman Sarukian versus Damir Ismagulov. Sarukian is in it. His name's in everybody's mouth. I don't know. He's one of those guys that as being highly touted as just a great up and comer, I guess. Um, haven't watched too many of his fights, but I hear him being talked about all over the place. So, we got some pretty decent fights down there. Coming from about the seventh, what is it, that seventh fight up from that woman fight, Cheyenne versus Corey McKenna. Jake Matthews too, but really the top of that card seems pretty good. And then you get to the main event. So I know I'm doing him dirty here. But that's Sean Strickland getting knocked out by Alex Pereira, which, I mean, he's the champ now. He just beat Israel Adesanya, so I guess you can't. It speaks for itself. But Sean Strickland is how Pereira got the title shot, because he beat him in this pretty impressive fashion. It just makes me laugh that Strickland got knocked out like that. Although Alex was saying that Sean Strickland's like one of the only guys that has ever kind of scared him, which is weird because Pereira is one of those guys that you just look at and you're like, that's a scary looking motherfucker. So, but yeah, he knocked him the fuck out. It makes me happy. I'm not even lying here. I'm not gonna front at all. I put this up here on purpose because I don't like Sean Strickland, and it makes me happy to see him get knocked the fuck out. So, call me an ass. I don't care. Fuck that guy. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And then we got Jared Cannonier. Nasty leg kicks on Robert Whittaker. He gave Robert Whittaker a damn good fight when they fought each other. So, just to put it on a champ like that is pretty impressive. Cannonier is a very powerful dude. As you can see, he's pretty big, really cut, got a lot of power in his legs, a lot of power in his hands. So I'm hoping he beats the fuck out of Sean Strickland like Pereira did. But Strickland is a talented guy. He does have a lot of skills, and he is an aggressive dude, and he talks a lot of shit in and out of the cage. So I'm hoping Cannonier's that silent, strong type comes in and just beats the fuck out of him. That would make me extremely happy. I'm such an asshole, but I don't care. Sean Strickland will probably kick my ass, but I don't care either, because I'm still gonna talk shit, because I just don't like him. He's a fucking douchebag. Fuck him. I'm gonna stop. Anyway, so that wraps that up. Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland, UFC Vegas 66 on Saturday. Last card of the UFC. Last card for the UFC of the year. Watch it. Enjoy it. Don't watch it. I don't give a shit. It's on you. Just watch this. I'll recap it. Anyway, so that's that. Thanks for hanging in there with me if you're still here. I know that was a bit long. Especially the second fight. That was tough. Tough to get through. It's long. 5-minute rounds. Maybe it wasn't the best idea. I'm okay with it. It was just it was a tough fight to break down. There's not a ton going on, so that's the thing. And I came out of it not understanding any more. Well, a little more than I did before, but it is what it is. Yeah, I got to try new things here and there, and that's something I kind of wanted to do. I don't regret it, but at the same time, maybe it wasn't the best. Whatever. Who cares? Why am I always second guessing myself? In the end, I'm here doing my thing. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Thanks for being here with me if you're still here. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that good shit for me. Hit the notification bell. And yeah, it's something I'm always gonna ask for. Just kind of gain a bigger following and get my videos and my podcast out there. So I feel like there's a reason for doing this if people are watching and enjoying it. So it'd be great if I got more people to do that. So you want to help me out with that, do all these things and yeah, share it with somebody. Tell one person about it. Get one person to start watching and listening, even if it's a few episodes here and there or whatever. Do that for me if you could. That'd be awesome. And don't forget, you see it on the bottom of my screen all the time, but I'll bring it up a little bigger so you can see my social media. I'm on It's Going Around podcast everywhere except for Twitter. It's Going Around pod. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. So if you want to see my stupid bloopers and just funny stuff that happens on the show, you can go to TikTok, and I'm always putting up videos there. Uh, I'm always reposting and posting things on Facebook and Instagram the most. I'm not on Twitter a lot because Twitter's just kind of toxic, but I still have an account there, so follow it. I'm gonna try to get on there a little more. Uh, you know, Maybe I'll do the blue Twitter blue thing and get that little blue check mark and feel special and important. Anyway, if you want to listen to this podcast, audio only and not have to watch everything that's happening, or you can't watch everything at the moment, go to any of the platforms that you see here, or you anywhere you get your podcast. And if you can't find it, let me know. Send me a message or something, and I will try to get it on that platform for you. And last but not least, uh, what I was talking about earlier, I do all these other podcasts. It's basically all the same people, but the final episode is Sundays, 8 p.m. Arizona time on the all of them are now on the Rumble Podcast YouTube channel. You can find all of these different podcasts there. Enough to be dangerous. We're a little less risky on Enough to be dangerous. I don't know if that's gonna change, but and then the Rumble is the one we're pushing the most. That's where the guys from the Rumble were on the podcast with me on Saturday. And that's the one, we do drafts of different topics. And like I said, this past week we did the Rumble Palooza. So we all picked 5 artists that we thought would headline for a music festival, and it was pretty fun. We gave reasonings for it, and we even gave an honorable mention for all of them. So that was pretty fun. Again, we get into different kind of topics and serious, not so serious, lots of funny, and just lots of bullshitting and joking around, having a good time. So come check it out. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on the Rumble Podcast, or go to the rumblepodcast.com and you can find everything there as well. So thanks again. I appreciate you all for being here. I hope you're listening to this, whether it be live or after the fact. The podcast always goes up on audio version only within an hour of the time that I stop streaming live. So I always get it out that same night. They're all there for you to listen to. You can go back and listen to all the old ones, see what I had to say, see how full of shit I was or how right I was. I don't care. Just have fun with it. Check it out. Support me if you can. Go to my social media, like, share, subscribe. And thanks again for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I hope everyone has a good night, and we'll see you next week. I'm not Next week will be I'll recap this last UFC card, but there's nothing else going on. So I almost forgot about this. So I will have a podcast next week, but I think I'm gonna do something like maybe my top fights of the year, or um my favorite knockouts of the year, or top fights from my favorite fighters of all time. I don't know, something of that sort. And I'll recap this week's card. I don't know, I'll have something for you, some kind of good content. I'll still be on. I was on Thanksgiving, so there's no reason why I wouldn't be on. It's going to be very minimal days off from this podcast, because that's what I want to do. I want to keep it consistent, keep it going, and put the content out there. So thanks again for joining me. We'll see you next time. We'll see you next time. Let me say that correctly. And yeah, peace.